Been reporting Rishi Sunak is expected to discuss proposals to try to keep pupils studying some form of maths until the age of 18, emphasising the next generation's need for data and analytical skills. Your heart may have sunk or raised at the prospect of learning maths until the age of 18. Well, I mentioned we'll be talking to Bobby Seagull, and I'm delighted to say he's here now. Probably the biggest maths enthusiast, or at least one of them you could come across. Broadcaster, also a maths teacher. And you came straight to my mind, Bobby, this morning when I was thinking about this, because I mean, it is probably fair to say that the country's split between people who see the vital importance of maths, maybe find it easy, and others who really don't, and whose heart would sink at the prospect of having to keep learning it till 18. What do you say to those? Forget the converts, the people who really find it tricky.
Yes. So the ones that find it tricky, what I would say is that maths is a skill like anything else. You know, whether you're learning to dance or drive or bake or sing, these are all things that we're not born as humans being able to do, but we develop those skills. And again, one analogy is, as a teacher, Joanna, so many of my students often say to me, or the parents, "Oh, Mr. Seagull, I could never do maths. I don't have a maths brain." But people never come up to me and say, "Oh, Mr. Seagull, I can't read. I'm illiterate." I think there's something of a badge of honor about being innumerate. So I think, as well as the competence, there's definitely sort of a cultural issue to do with confidence, where people think that if you can't do maths a little bit at school, then they sort of decline it and reject it for the rest of their lives.
So you're saying anybody can learn it and be good at it? I mean, you mentioned the list of other skills, and those are also things that people say, I can't dance, I can't bake, whatever, but you're saying we can all learn.
Yes, and I think it's about reaching competency, because one of the things that the Prime Minister mentioned was that in England alone, 8 million adults have the numeracy skills of an 11-year-old primary school child. And that's shocking. So these are adults that are going about their day-to-day lives, managing budgets, looking after families. So I think the key thing is to make sure people don't feel afraid of maths. And I think part of the issue is here is, what is the maths being taught? Because, Joanna, like, I love the pure side of maths, trigonometry, geometry, algebra. I could teach you all day, but I understand some people, when they hear that, they go, oh my God, not maths. But for them, what's relevant is the practical side, looking at household budgets. What does interest rate mean? How do I plan my journey into work? And that's where I think I'm really excited to hear what the Prime Minister has to offer, because if we're extending maths education till 18, we need to make sure it's relevant for people.
So, I mean, you're saying basically it can be transformative for people in their everyday lives, because, you know, kids will say, and you've mentioned that obviously parents will say, well, I was no good at maths, no wonder my child isn't also, and they don't see the relevance of it in day-to-day life.
Yeah, and that's really important, because when people think maths is just about an exam, you need the qualification, but if they think it's just about the exam, then when they're done at 16 or 18, they're like, oh, done, burned my maths books, never need it again. But every day when we're checking our bank statement, when we're planning journeys, when we're even planning a meal and we're trying to work out, oh, I've got a chicken there, got 4 people, guests coming round, I need 45 minutes to cook it there, need the vegetables, we're using maths on a day-to-day basis. And one thing I'd like to add, Joanna, is that if we are increasing maths provision till 18, as the Prime Minister says, we need to think about the other side, the teaching. There needs to be enough teachers that can deliver that, because if you're increasing the provision of maths, there needs to be enough teachers in the classroom. And that's one thing at the moment there probably isn't.
Yeah, how much of an issue is that?
A big issue, because a lot of schools suffer from shortages of maths teachers. There is an issue of, if you're a maths graduate, you are drawn towards the city and banking and finance. That'll always be there. But people choose to become teachers because they're passionate about young people and passing on knowledge to the next generation. So it's making sure when people join the profession, we still retain them. So I think we lose like 40 to 50% of new teachers within the first 5 years, and they're gone. So actually teaching conditions have got to be really looked at, because if we're to educate the next batch of people that are feeling confident with numbers, we need to make sure that mathematically trained teachers are there, not just getting in, you know, a PE teacher or a geography teacher, because it's really difficult on them. And
it doesn't just need to be teachers there, you know, people who can explain things that are complicated in a very simple way that can be digestible. I know that you think you can explain things in 20 seconds when it comes to maths. I mean, is that really possible?
So I think, again, with maths, the key thing is people are allowed to take their time, because in exams, there are time conditions and you're working under pressure. But in the real world, Joanna, if you're checking a bill or checking a bank statement, you can consult, ask other people. Maths can be collaborative. It's not an exam by yourself.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
Thanks, Joanna.